Very cool. Very cool. So yesterday, that was a good session. I think we are now the biggest two pieces of the project are now we have some kind of handle, right?
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh.
Um, and now let us proceed with the further discussion. Maybe you want to share your screen?
Yeah. So I don't know what would you like to talk about today? What I was trying to get a little bit ahead on cleaning up that access file,
Okay.
because I think that's going to take you a very long way, you know.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
definitely.
so I don't. So I'm not sure if you have anything in mind today to understand or um, yeah.
Um, okay. So you want to use this time to work on that access? That's what you prefer, right?
Maybe that would be better use of time. And if you have any questions, you can just email
Right.
me.
Okay.
Um,
Sure,
uh,
sure. Maybe let us just review that one-page document we have with all the things outlined, right?
yep.
Uh, Maybe like 10 minutes and then we can hang up.
Okay, sounds good. Let me
Sure. Yeah.
oops, let me sorry, shared the wrong thing. Okay. So we want to review that matrix.
Yeah, the matrix. Yep.
All right, this thing.
Yes, that is the one. So let us review this real quick. I think we talked about a lot of these things already, or most of
Yeah.
these things. Um, I'll just go from top to bottom, so one by one, right? Develop the project scope, price, purpose, etc. This is anyway, this is just a starting point. Nobody, we don't have both of
Yep.
us, right? Is anyway,
That's on our
project
end. Yep.
project management side of your side.
Yep.
And establish building zones and the team info and preload the data sets. We talked about all this in the last 3-4 days,
Yep.
and you have your deliverables, and then you are working on it. Access database is the big one out of
Yep.
those, right?
Yep.
Other than that, Excel template that is also is there, and assessment report kind of thing.
Yep.
So this item we are good. And choose cost tables. This one you are going to give us one version of it for now, and then down the road, whenever we have 2 or 3 versions later, we can add it. That is what our understanding.
So
Right?
I had a idea about this last night. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if it's hard to create separate cost tables,
Mm-hmm.
we could make a single cost table and just add like a category in the table, and maybe we can filter by that category. So say we have I'm going to send you one full cost table now, right?
Okay.
And maybe in for all of those items in that table, the category is standard. So we call it the standard cost table.
Okay.
And anytime we need to, add additional cost items that are maybe specialty items or it's a different region or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, the category is no longer standard. It's, we call it whatever the specialty category is.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So then it's not like separate entities, but it's one big entity that gets filtered
Mm-hmm.
out.
Filtered out. So there will be a master entity for this cost. That is where you would add every time you have any of those extra category.
Yep.
And every project we do from that point onwards will show this category to select from.
I think so, because then and maybe, when you set the cost table, you have another entity it takes whatever cost categories you want from the master cost table
Mm-hmm.
and it adds those records to the current working assessment project. I don't
Okay,
know if that,
okay.
I don't know if that
Like,
makes sense, but you know.
it makes sense, but with Power Apps, too much normalization could cause issues, but we will see definitely that we will keep it in mind. Um, right? I mean, now we used to have a cost table, now we have cost table master, and then it has its own, what do you call this, transaction kind of table, right? Where you
Yeah,
can have multiple entries.
that's not
So,
how Power Apps like that. It doesn't like to
yeah,
do it that like that.
I mean, we can pull it off, but it adds complexity to
I
some
see.
extent, right?
What's the better practice?
Um, the, the better practice, like what we thought before, that is one way to do it, but that also adds in a different way in the sense now we have multiple cost tables that we have to choose which one. Uh, but every extra special category that you got, if you go with that approach of having 2 or 3 cost tables, then that number might increase exponentially, right? If we have more and more special categories over the time for
Yeah,
projects,
I mean, if
right?
one cost table can be up to like 500 items, you know.
That is not a problem. What I'm talking about is it can have 500 items, that is fine, but one item has how many categories? That is the problem,
Oh,
right?
oh, I see.
Right. That is the complexity. I mean, having 500 to 1000, it doesn't matter. That is still one entity.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have different categories for each um, element or cost table item, then the second model we just discussed about the idea yesterday you got, that is a better model because you don't care now how many categories you have, you just add one more entry into that sub entity for cost table, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with our original thought of what we discussed yesterday and day before yesterday, if you have 2, 3 cost tables, um, every time you add one more extra category, that would change. It would add one more cost table down the road, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a separate category. So we'll try for this, even though it is little complex. Let us
Uh-huh.
give it a thought about adding entity and sub-entity for this.
Okay. Okay.
I will,
And if it becomes way too complex, then
right.
it might be a feature that we can just hold on, you know.
Yeah.
And what we would do is we would just keep modifying, you know, a single cost table by ourselves.
Okay, sure, sure. Okay, you just note it down.
The only problem I'm seeing is that if, you know, is I don't know, it's what am I trying to say? In a previous assessment project, like because you said all assessment projects are going to live in the database all
Mhm.
together, right?
Right, right,
They're
right.
all going to commingle. If I
Mhm.
change a item, if I change a value on the cost table,
Mhm.
I don't want it to change it on historical assessment projects, you know, because those numbers are fixed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, it won't happen. See, what we are changing is the master table, master entity per se, right? If you say, and that will only affect as and when we are importing the takeoffs
Uh-huh.
and we are creating the tables for the new uh, portfolio,
Okay.
right? So changing the value in the master entity will not affect what are all the takeoffs we already imported.
I see. Okay, so it's not directly linked.
No,
It's
it's
just
not
it's
directly linked.
it's
No, not
just
at
a
all.
look. It's just a lookup.
It's just a lookup at the time of takeoffs import or at the time of you create this assessment
I see. Okay.
functionality. At the time, it will pull the values whatever you have in the cost table, and
Hmm.
once it pulls, that's it. That is the value. Until you can always go to that particular record and change in that particular building or whatnot. That
Yeah.
is like one-off change you are doing, but master table will only impact the future imports.
Okay. Okay. I
Right?
like that. I like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad you picked up on that. So good. Okay.
First category, mention that as you brought
So
up.
so really the cost table is just a lookup for the first time you use it. That's it.
Yes, first time you use it. And if you can still change the value for the imported values, but you just go to that particular item and then you change there,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that way you still have flexibility,
Okay.
right? And let me, how do I put it? Cost table entries should only impact imports of takeoffs or future assessments.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah. So if the choosing from multiple cost tables becomes too complicated of a task right now, I think we can live with a single master cost table, and we just modify as needed for future assessments.
Right, right. Yeah, we can always do that. In the sense, like you can always do the takeoffs import and then change the value in that particular
Yep.
data set, right? The
Yep.
way of thinking. Okay. But you have to remember what to change.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Stick with one cost table and change the value of the import. Okay. That is that. So cost table is good. Set global parameters. This will be global only up to the
Portfolio
portfolio level.
or customer level. Yeah.
Yeah, portfolio or company level.
Yep.
Okay, global parameter. Let me see because it could confuse first time. Uh, only global at portfolio level. Okay. And I got all of those. Most important of all is that the 30% number that you need
Yeah.
for the assessment. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that line is good. And assign work by discipline.
So
Uh,
this is we talked about assigning by the uniformat code those department initials.
like this LLB, AEI, that chart,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we can do that by uniformat code. That shouldn't be too hard. And then we also talked about perhaps when you open the app, you select which department you are at, and that could help you filter the
Right.
items that you look at.
We'll add that one for that is if role based is too complex.
Hmm.
Complex.
Right. If that's too complex, then if the Active Directory is just as complex, then do it the Active Directory way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That one is good. Is it possible to put a main screen department in the beginning,
Yep.
and then they know which department the user belongs. Okay, that is good. And establish elements in the scope.
So it's almost like we want to flip the two things we just talked about. Like, I think the first thing you do is establish the elements in the scope, and then you assign the work to that,
Work to it. Yeah.
to those
When you
elements.
say establish elements, is that highlighted ones in the scope, right? Not the disabled ones.
The elements in scope,
The black color ones, not the silver, not the gray color ones,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Yep.
Basically.
The
Okay.
black ones, that not the silver ones. Yep.
Yep. And then perform takeoffs. This we had a very good discussion yesterday. I think
Yep.
I got it. And client interviews. This is. Can you
So
expand a little bit on this?
this is optional right now. That's why
Okay.
it's red.
Okay.
So I don't know if we need to do this within the app, or if it's just like a survey, like we use a email survey system or
Okay.
something like that.
So client meaning like once all the work is done or before the work like we are doing.
The interviews
Uh-huh.
that gets done. So you can do takeoffs anytime. But it has to happen first. The
Not the
client
takeoff.
interviews,
Okay.
yeah, the takeoffs happen first, but they don't interfere with client interviews. But you definitely do the client interviews before you do the assessment, the actual field work.
Oh, okay, okay. So this is still the beginning piece. This is
So
not.
before you use the app to actually,
Mhm.
look at the
Okay.
items in the field, you talk to the client first and get like get some background information from them first.
Technician goes for assessment, right?
Yeah. Then you do the assessment because
Then
now
we do
you
this.
have some knowledge, some previous knowledge. The client told you already, hey, in this building, these windows are going to be bad.
Okay, okay, that kind of, okay, that is for that, okay.
Yeah.
Client
So then when you
interviews.
go to that building, you already have some understanding of like the conditions, so you don't just guess.
Right, right. So this is more for conditions of what our client knows, right?
Yeah.
Of whatever.
And we need to, I think we're just gonna think about how we design that in house. Might use like Microsoft Forms, and we give us like user surveys,
Right.
or it
Mhm.
could be that we go and sit with them with an app, with a separate app, and we go through some questions with them and log it in.
Okay.
The
Okay.
But there is some tie-in, so, and that's why I think this is a future feature, is when we go in the field and we do the assessment, it would be nice to see the notes from the interview.
Right, right, right. Okay. So at least it already talks about it.
Yeah,
So it has to happen. If that is the case, it has to happen after the takeoffs, but before the assessment,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Should happen after the.
So
Feel
it's
it's
like,
out of
if
scope for now.
if I open up the assessment part of the app and I'm looking at the windows, maybe the notes from the interview are already there, so it prompts me like, hey, the client said that these windows are not in good shape, you know, and then you do your condition rating 1 through 5, and
Right. Okay. Okay. Technician of assessment. Okay. Makes very sense. I thought it is some kind of like satisfaction survey or something. It is not.
no, it's more like getting some background information on the facilities before you actually go look at the facilities yourself.
Okay, I got it. So that one is good. And perform assessment, this also we talked about in
Yep.
detail. And then this is another red color item. Voice recording of notes, that is also optional at this time, right?
I'm sorry?
Voice
Yeah, so the voice recording, so there'll be another module in the app where we just can talk into it and take notes.
like in red color, does it mean it is optional or?
I think let me see, pre-work required, some development work. That's some development work on our end.
Development meaning you're talking about
We
software
want
development?
we want to think about how we want to actually
Okay.
what kind of features we want for that section.
Oh, okay, okay. So you just need to decide what exactly to be done. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for now, I'll just add it under optional bucket there.
Yeah, I think it's optional. Yep.
Optional. And indicate completion of each element. So that is whenever they're done, they have to mark somewhere.
Oh wait, can I go back? So the voice recording of notes, it's not optional. It's just we don't know how sophisticated we want that to be. So it could just be a very simple section in the app.
Okay. I mean, it has to be at the element level, basically, where they take pictures.
It has to be at the class level.
It's in the class level. I thought it should be on the element level. If they're taking a picture of heating condition, a heating machine or something, right?
Yeah.
Then
Oh
they
yeah,
take
and then
they
you can
take a
add
picture and then they make a note.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right? Not class level usually too high. Class will be like only 9 classes, right? There will be too many items in the class.
Right. No, I agree.
Level.
So
And,
that's yeah. So that's not an optional. That's that we want that.
oh, okay, okay. And indicate the completion of each element.
Yeah, so that's just if it I don't know if it's a Power BI report or if it's some kind of some way, some query which allows us to find out if all of the work has been completed, you know.
All of the, this is like a completion of each element you want for each element or each building or
Each for each
element will be.
building we need to make sure that everything was filled in, you know.
So we need to put a check mark for each element or something.
Yeah, either check mark or just from project management side, if there's some query that shows if there are any fields that weren't filled in, you know.
Oh, you mean that way. So once they go and take a photo, let us say, it means they touched it and it means it is completed in
Yeah,
that perspective.
exactly. Or if they, you know, if they put the rating in there 1 through 5, then that
Mhm.
means they completed that line item, right?
So that's fine. I mean, I thought maybe they did rating, but they didn't picture. They did not take the picture for whatever reason. So they need to come back and then they have to do. So
Yeah,
it is
that
still
kind of
on.
thing. Yep. So that kind of quality check, you know,
Okay.
I think it's a report, really.
So if when all the fields for that element are empty, then we can take it as incomplete.
Exactly.
And if any one of those fields are filled, then we'll take it as complete. Will that work?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? That's
Because a photo is optional. You don't have to take a photo of everything,
right. Yeah. So
but
I'm going to put. Mhm.
you definitely have to put in a condition rating though. So the 1 through 5, that's required.
Okay. So when we identify the required fields, right? As
Yeah.
long as required fields are filled in, I'll just put it. As
Yeah.
long as required fields are filled in, consider it complete.
Yep. And
I will do that.
we can run a
Mhm.
report on you know, what's incomplete, so then we can, you know, redeploy that person out and fill in the holes, you know.
Report.
And I don't know if that's a report that the technician can also see, or is it only for the project manager, you know?
We can decide for the scope of the reports. I know some you don't want them to see, right? And only few
Yeah.
you will still want them to see. We can define that scope of those reports when we discuss about reports.
Okay.
Uh, but definitely, I think we can do something. If we are doing in the Power BI, then I would definitely say keep it up to
Manager
manage
level.
manager level management,
Yep.
and maybe we will add some simple things within the Power Apps itself. We have to see feasibility, which one, how it goes, but something like that so that they don't have to leave the app to see the report, or when they come back, we will see, we'll add something in the Power App to show how many more, if there are anything left still,
Yeah.
right?
It'd be cool if they had like a little progress bar or something like, you know what I mean?
Right, right,
Like
yeah.
a progress bar. Hey, you're 50% done with this building, you know?
Yeah, that is good. That's a good idea. Let me add it. I like the idea of progress bar. Progress bar functionality in the app.
That actually, you know, because that then it encourages the technician, you know?
Yeah,
It's
right.
like a game.
At least they know where they are
Yeah.
from the whole picture, right? Completion of tasks. That is good.
All right, what else we got? So that was,
Pending items, pending elements. Okay,
yep.
this is good.
So
We
Saint,
keep
I think
adding a lot of
a lot
we're
of
adding
cool
a lot of
things.
cool things. Yeah, it gives me pleasure. That's good. Because if I'm using the app, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's a good one. So I think that's the next one, visual access and monitoring. That's exactly what it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah. So this
We
comes
want to
up.
be able to just in real time make sure that people are doing their job, you know?
Right, right. Yeah. And then like the other thing is when they check in, you can get an email. We can generate an email.
Uh-huh.
And, oh, technician is there now. Started working on it. Something
Yeah.
new.
So that definitely would be really nice to see,
Right.
if that they can, when they arrive at the building, that they
Hmm.
should check into the app that I'm at this building,
Right.
and we get a notification,
Right, right. Okay, that's good. But I'm one thing, I want to simplify that functionality just because for the, what do you say, this practical purposes.
Hmm?
When they check in, we can always send at least they're at the building. But we might don't have to know when they check it out because they might forget. If you tie up check in with check out to make it complete,
Uh-huh.
then what happens if they forget check out? Or how do we
Yeah.
know when they are done with their work? So what I would say, maybe get an email when they check in. That is one thing,
Yep.
and get an email when they complete all the tasks.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Something like that. That way we know. We don't care what they do in between. We know when they check in, and then we know when they. Normally they go a couple of days back and forth to complete it, or they do everything in one day.
Well, it should be one day, one building.
Oh, one day, one
You
building.
can actually you can do maybe two. Usually the speed is about, if they're not really really gigantic buildings, you can probably do 3 or 4 a day.
Oh, that's cool. Then at
But
least that makes it chicken will be starting point, and then if you don't get an email of items completed, meaning it is not done yet.
yep,
If you got the email, it is done on the same day. If you got the email next day, then
yeah, that
it
means
is
they
done.
did. Yeah, that's
Yes,
that would be really, no, that's a good way, because I totally understand. We don't need to know when
every
they
single
leave
thing
the building. They just want to know when we completed the work.
completed. Right. When they started it, when they completed.
Yeah, but definitely
And
when they check in, because we have to schedule all the buildings with the client, with the company. We have to make sure that we tell them, hey, these guys are going to show up 5 o'clock at these buildings here.
right, right. Cool. So
All
that
right.
is good. And one more. I know I took half an hour already. I said 10 minutes.
Yep.
Review for completion.
All of that is the same. That's all just reviewing to see if they've completed the work and when they completed it. That's all.
Okay.
So
And
those
reports.
three items indicate completion, visual access, and monitoring and review for completion. It's all just what we just talked about.
Right, right. And how about this reporting analysis? Like, why is it red? That's like optional piece or something?
So the
I know.
reports, the
Mhm.
reports were the ones I had been showing you with the the buildings on the left, and then the priorities running on the top and showing those cost reports.
Right, right.
Those are standard reports. We
Hmm.
might have one or two more standard reports, uh,
Okay.
but that's it. And then interactive review would be, if we sat with the client in the room and we went through the assessment and they wanted to change, some of the priorities or change some cost value. How
Hmm.
do we have a interactive review session with the clients, after all the work is done?
This looks like to me as a project management outside of the app thing, or do you want to bring it up somehow to app?
I don't know if we do it through the app or do we do it through like a desktop interface.
I'm thinking, like maybe some kind of Excel sheet or something that you capture, that you put it at the company level or building level.
Hmm.
Remember we talked about yesterday where you go to the company, you can see all the documents related to the company, and you go to
Yeah.
the zone, you see all the document related to the zone.
Yeah.
If we are able to do that, let us say, then it can be one document. Either you do at the zone level or you do at the building level or portfolio level. This one.
We usually do it. What we do it line by line. So I was just going to show you. Go back. Let me go back to the, our standard spreadsheet.
Mhm.
So this is typically what happens right now. Um, we look at this chart, right?
Okay.
And so we're sitting with the client, and we look at this chart, and the
Mhm.
client goes, "Well, why? What is 462,000 in an immediate category? What is that stuff in building
Okay.
one?" So then I go here and, I filter out building 1, and then I filter out the immediate.
Right. Okay.
And I show this number. Now we show these 4 line items or 5 line items, and we read this stuff, and they tell me, oh no, this is not so bad. This painting, the painting is not so bad. Take it out or move it to number 3 instead.
Okay.
And we push and pull all the numbers around, and and then kind of they want to massage the chart.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes we say that something is like emergency or immediate, and they don't think it is, or vice versa. Sometimes there's something that we don't think was so bad, but they want to fix it. They want to address it sooner. So we either change the priority or we change the cost. Sometimes we come here and say, see this, like piping installation is missing. It says we're charging $10 a linear feet to do that, and the client says, no, we have a guy, he can do it for $8. So I come here and change that to $8. And then update this update the chart here.
So to me, then it doesn't look like this exercise is not about taking notes. This exercise is more about using the app to go in and change the values and then see what is the new total would be, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how do we do that in real time with the client in a nice way,
That another cool thing, I will add it to the list.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we achieve, right? Achieve, active, manipulate. One is much important task if we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because this is like, no more takeoffs. When you're done with them, you already have reports, updated reports.
Yeah.
If we're able to do right, no more homework to do. I mean,
it's interesting. Like, if we do this the right way, we do all the takeoffs first. And we already have all the unit costs. We already have the total sum of all the work that has to be done for all the facilities. All we have to do is just put them in the right time frame,
Right time frame, and all you will be doing is, like you said, you might have to change the cost because it is special category or whatever.
Yeah.
You will be massaging those numbers mostly, and any square footage if you are doing it manually, not through that AutoCAD Revit program.
Yep.
Maybe you might be changing those units and measurements and any special category and cost, and maybe adding one takeoff item versus deleting one takeoff item, that kind of stuff, but not much than that. Right?
The whole thing is automated. Yeah, and it's like, as soon as we're done with the takeoffs, we have a total sum of all the repairs and all the replacement value for the whole facility automatically.
Exactly.
Wow.
So the only thing you would be doing is verifying the integrity of the data most of the time. You don't do any calculation.
And just just prioritizing the work. When do you want to do it?
Right, when you want to do it. And then somehow, if we can tie this up to a workflow where you can't do the client interview until the takeoffs are done, then that part cannot be done until somebody does the import of takeoffs, right? And you can't do the assessment until you do the client interview. Then that forces them to do in a linear fashion, right?
Oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, so you use the client interviews to actually do the prioritization.
Prioritization, right. So we can set up some kind of mandatory prerequisite for every step. That way it will forces your staff to do things they're supposed to follow the order, right? Whatever the order makes sense.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah. I like this application. The more I understand,
Yeah.
the more, I mean, I see a lot of value. Then any new project you get from any new customer,
Hmm.
it would be like you will be focusing on your actual work, not on the spreadsheets and numbers and calculation, nothing on these, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You will be focusing on your more civil work or
Yeah.
civil, right, in your mind.
The whole idea of this app is, or the whole idea of the service is
Yeah,
basically so, it that we know now what kind of work they have to do, and then we as architects then can go give them the actual work, that is important,
yeah,
So we're not here to fix your windows, but if we find out that this whole building is, in such bad shape, why are you putting any money into fixing it? Maybe you should, demolish it and put a new building up. And that's when we get to do our real design and all of that stuff.
yeah. That's good. I think we also discussed about this sheet. Now we understand every element of this sheet also.
Yeah.
So I think I already took 40 minutes of your time. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, no problem.
But this is important. So maybe we'll call it a day for today, and then
Yep.
maybe tomorrow, or you want to take a break tomorrow, you can continue on Monday. We can talk about the reports, and the two things that we need to cover next week is reports and what kind of reports. And I know they're going to be basic. You already showed me some,
Okay.
and we can talk about that. And then also the screens and user interface, we can talk about a little bit more.
Okay.
Uh, but we also need to digest a lot of this information, what we got it. Um, and if you need more time to work on that Access database and all those takeaways you have, if you want to cancel the meeting for Friday, I can do that. And then we'll let us convene again on Monday.
Yeah, let's cancel tomorrow because I think you have a good understanding now from start to finish what the app is supposed to do, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, great. The only thing I need to ask you on Monday is, we wanted to just stop and check in after 1 week,
Right,
and are we on track? Do you think the budget is still close to what we were thinking of and the time frame and all of that stuff? Uh,
right,
and I
yes.
have to just report that back to my partners here just to say like, yes, we're on track. I honestly, personally, I feel like this week has been really, really productive. I was surprised we
Yes,
were able to get from to
right.
be able to talk about the whole story. So,
Yes,
do you do you,
yes.
do you feel that way as well, or?
Oh yeah. I feel like very confident,
Uh-huh.
and we understand. I mean, we can our match our understanding, but I think from the developer perspective, to understand the project and then what you are trying to achieve,
Uh-huh.
uh, and what you are getting out of this application, right? I think we got a very good idea.
Okay, that's
Um,
great. So
yeah,
I may need to ask you for like an email of just a refinement of, hours and budget. And, if you want to shoot me something on Monday, that would be nice.
sure. We can discuss. I've seen your email, but we did not.
Uh-huh.
I think we have to. Have to. I mean, we've been busy with all this stuff, right? We didn't
Yeah.
get a chance to reflect on your email yet. Maybe
Okay.
like when Neeraj is there next time, like we will um, coordinate and then we can have a discussion on that.
Okay.
By that time, by Monday, I think we will have very good um, understanding of everything, right? Our mind is observed more by then.
Okay. No, that sounds great. But
Right?
I'm feeling pretty comfortable, so that's good.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that means a lot to us. Yeah, your confidence always helps.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So
Thank you so
yeah, we'll
much.
we'll talk Monday. Send me oh, do we have I just give you my schedule on Monday.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. Let me take it.
So I think Monday afternoons always work a lot. So I can do 3 to 5 again.
Let me check my calendar. Did Neeraj set up anything for Monday at all? I
No, we
think you
didn't
only
set
set.
we didn't set anything for next week.
Oh, okay. So I will make a note of it. So 3 to 5, you are free, right? On Monday.
Yep. Actually, I'm
Um.
free from maybe two to 5. So whenever you want to do it in the afternoon.
Okay, 2 to 5. Okay. So I will check the nearest schedule and I'll book it accordingly.
Okay.
So between 2 to 5 anytime, right?
Yep.
Very cool. Thank
All
you,
right.
Neil. Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
very
for
much.
all your help, and you have a good weekend.
You too. You too.
Right
Thank you
on.
very
Yeah,
much. All
thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.